1991, I flew to Teddy Island. The water's turquoise blue and I'm back wild. Living in a jungle and it looks like Thailand. Everybody's gone home, 911 dialing. Met the girl on the plane. Went to Water Island, sweet like sugar cane. The girl was beguiling. Putting lots of gold, you know that I'm styling. Never get...
Welcome to Television Intense TV. I'm your host, Robert Louis Tyler, and today we have a very special episode of Television Intense TV Talk Show Live. We have on Dr. William J. McClure in here because the doctor is in, right? And the doctor is operating, put on the glove, right? So, welcome to the show. How you doing,
Thank
Mr.
you, Bobby.
McClure? Thanks for coming in.
Well, thanks for having me back again.
Thanks for being here. And so today, Dr. McClure, he does plastic surgery on children and adults, especially specializes in the cleft lip, Vietnam, Africa, Haiti, South America, you name about I don't know how many countries, right? Which locations have you been to? How many you think locations now? And repeatedly each one.
Sure. It's been 16 countries. Some countries I've made multiple visits.
Right.
And this has been over actually a 30-year period.
30 years, and how does it feel to be changing a child's life for life, you know, changing his whole future and you know, for the better? I mean, he wouldn't be able to go to school, wouldn't be able, you know, they keep him hidden away, and now he's acceptable in public life and socially.
No, that's true. That's the most gratifying part. I work with different organizations, and plastic surgery lends itself to this type of work because we're taking care of, yes, and the majority of our patients are children, but we are taking care of problems that don't rank high on priorities for different countries' healthcare system. For instance, like the cleft lip, where the lip is separated, or the cleft palate, where the palate is separated. With these children, they aren't going to die of the condition, but their lives are going to be very impacted because of the deformity. Many times they can't go to school, they can't marry, difficult to find employment, and so we are able to intervene and help these children lead a normal life.
Right.
But as important, we are trying to teach the local surgeons how to do these operations so they can do them.
So it's like you can give a man a fish and you feed him for one day, or you could teach a man to fish and you fed him for life. So you're training these other doctors to do these procedures as they watch you and they get involved. Then when you leave, they're self-sufficient to do as well, right?
Yeah, no, well said. That's exactly what we're doing, because my colleagues and I, there are only a finite number of cases that we can do in our lifetime. Whereas when we teach others, we get this tremendous leverage. And there are some of the countries where I've worked where we've completely worked ourselves out of a job because the local surgeons have completely taken over, which has always been our goal. In a moment I can show you some pictures of some of the children. But in addition to cleft lips, probably the biggest challenge we face now are burn scars.
Burns.
And we've been very successful in teaching a lot of physicians how to do the cleft lips, but doing work on burn victims is much more difficult.
Skin grafts and such like that.
Skin grafts are big. We do different types of flaps. But in a moment I'll show you some photographs. They're kind of disturbing, but first I can show you some pictures of just children in general.
Yeah, let's go ahead and bring some up on the big screen here.
Yeah, and you know
and
throughout
what's this one?
Well, throughout the world there's beautiful children. This is Guatemala, and we can just skim through a few pictures here. Central Africa, where I've worked, Burundi, mountains of Tibet. This is northern Laos up in the mountains. So there are beautiful children everywhere. My first visit to Vietnam in 1989.
Right, wow.
And again, northern Laos, taking a lot of work in Central America.
88.
This is one of my earlier trips. But so these are normal kids. This is Central Africa as well. But then we have the children who have these deformities, and this is what you had mentioned, the cleft lips.
Oh, yeah.
And you can see this little group here with the cleft lips. The next picture, same thing. This is earlier in Vietnam.
Right.
And I'll show you some close-ups. So this is a double cleft lip. We call it bilateral, where there's an opening on either side of the lip.
Oh.
And this is, and I'll show you some before and afters. A few more pictures of children here. This is Madagascar, a country off the coast of Africa. And again, a child with this deformity, Central Africa again, they have tremendous difficulties being accepted.
Right. And even eating and talking, right? I mean, to a point.
They can get food in. It's
More difficult.
It's difficult, but obviously they can grow and thrive. But the speech is very important, because if the palate is not repaired, they can never speak properly. This is a before and after. So this operation takes about 1 hour. It doesn't require a lot of sophisticated equipment at all.
It's amazing.
And here's a bilateral lip, same thing. This is maybe about an hour and a half procedure. So we can make a big difference in a short period of time.
And is that when you started, as in 88? No, 80, wasn't it? Back to
I started in 81.
81, yeah.
And these pictures are off of my website. There's a lot more. I have a new website which really is devoted to all of this work.
Napa Valley PlasticSurgeons.com.
That's it, NapaValleyPlasticSurgeons.com.
Okay. And we'll put that up later too, you know, in the show.
So again, before and after pictures. But as I said, in addition to the cleft lips, this is a burn scar, and I can kind of explain to you when in this country, when a child experiences a burn, we have burn units where we can take care of the burn, we can get rid of the burn tissue, put skin grafts on, and we can prevent these deformities. And for example, if a child is burned, or a child or adult is burned on this part of the arm, in this country we would take off the burn tissue, take skin from another part of the body and put on there,
Right.
put them in splints, give them physical therapy, and so they would have normal use of the arm. But in the developing world, where there are no burn units, the way this raw area would heal, because the burn has taken off the skin, so the way this heals is the wound contracts and it pulls the arm up, and so now they've got a scar and they can't extend the arm. And you can have a burn on any joint of the body, and so say for instance a child's shirt catches on fire and the flames go upwards, then you've got raw area here, and as that heals, it pulls the chin down, and can even, if the lip is burnt, it can actually pull the lip down.
Stuck to the chest and the neck and this area.
Yes, an extremely debilitating condition, which we can correct.
Right.
Under the arm, you get your arm pulled down.
It atrophies and stuck there. Yes.
It's stuck, you can't move, or if it's behind the knee, you can't straighten your leg, which means you can't walk.
Just crippled.
So these are
physically,
all, yes.
The muscles as well as the skin, you know. I mean,
well, if the muscles aren't working for a while, they stop working. So a big part of what we do, and I'll show you a few more pictures.
Okay.
So a big part of what we're doing is releasing these burn scars and putting on skin. Now sometimes there's not too much we can do, but if you look at this child's, how the eyelids are pulled down, we can do procedures to help the eyelids. Sometimes they can't open their mouth because of the burn scars, but I've a couple more patients I can show you here. Now here's an example of the elbow. She cannot straighten her arm, but after surgery she will be able to straighten it, and she had successful surgery. This is in Laos. So this is the horrendous ones we talk about. The little girl on the left, her burn extended all the way up to her lower lip. So her lower lip is actually pulled down to her chest. But again, it is something that we can correct. Now, in addition to burns, there are some other what we call congenital deformities. These are deformities that occur at birth. So this is an extra thumb, and we see a lot of these. They're relatively easy cases. The patient's very happy.
Webbed finger.
Exactly. These are two fingers that are webbed together. We call them syndactyly. We see a lot of these. Duplicated thumb. So these are things, again, they're not going to affect someone's life or health, but people don't like having something strange. And so we do a lot of these. then these are horrendous cases. There's various facial tumors that we take care of.
Wow.
This is what's called a neurofibroma. If you remember, quite a few years ago, there was a movie and the stage show, Elephant Man.
Right, correct.
And that was a famous gentleman
Example
of Victorian England who had this same condition, neurofibroma. So here she is after treatment. And I have to call attention to her. This was quite a few years ago, 1986.
In Jamaica.
Yes, I'd first come to town. Dr. Zimmerman, who was the other plastic surgeon here in town, we collaborated, and Dr. Zimmerman had been working in Jamaica and found this young woman, brought her to Napa.
Wow.
Queen of the Valley was extremely generous. They donated all the care, the anesthesiologist.
Nice.
And so Dr. Zimmerman was the lead surgeon, and he and I took care of this little girl. She lived with a family here in Napa. And so we couldn't save the eye, which is why she wears the eye patch, but at least we could take away a big part of the tumor.
Correct. Yeah, 'cause
so these are facial tumors. This is another one. This
like
was
the Elephant Man, similar.
Yes, in fact, these were all the same condition. We have a very generous valley.
Neurofibroma.
Neurofibroma is the term. So here he is before and after. He's a young man from northern Mexico. This case, Dr. Zimmerman and I did at St. Helena Hospital. So this is a very generous valley. I mean, both hospitals have contributed. Over the years, I think we've had 9 patients total come here. And here he is back home in Mexico. So again, we weren't able to save the eye, but at least he has a semblance of normalcy. A woman waiting for surgery, again, same condition. And then I think there's one more. This was in Peru. So, these conditions know any
boundaries.
international boundaries.
Right. The demographic is just everywhere. Right?
Yes.
So,
Well, here I can show you
worldwide.
some before and afters. Here's a pretty straightforward procedure: the extra thumb before and after. Again, a duplicated thumb. So these are. Now this is
burn.
I'll take a little time. These are burn scars on the palm of the hand. And just like I showed you with the elbow and the neck, if the palm of your hand is burnt, then the fingers draw down like you're making a fist. The problem is you can't straighten the fingers. So,
To add skin.
yes, and if you look at this picture, you see it's the index finger that has been burnt, and it's held in position. So we've released the scar, put a skin graft on, and returned function. And we see these all over the world.
Wow.
Now, it looks like
amazing.
yes, it is. It looks like the child is just making a fist, but actually the child cannot open his hand because of the burn scars.
And it's amazing what you've done for him.
Yeah, so the same sort of thing. The baby can't open the hand, and this is after the skin grafting. So we can make a big difference. The way children get these burns are if you grab onto something hot.
Right, and like in Vietnam, they don't have like a lot of refrigerators and microwaves and stoves like we do. They have a hot oil cooking on a flame. A real fire, sometimes just a fire. And if this spills or hot boiling whatever, the potential is just detrimental.
Yeah, in different countries we see different things. And you've had a lot of experience in Vietnam, and on the street corners there'll be someone with a big pot of boiling water for noodles.
Several people on every corner. Right?
Another pot of bubbling grease to make egg rolls, and kids playing soccer in between. And so you can have hot water spill on you, hot oil spill on you. If you have up in the mountains in the Himalayas, Tibet and Bhutan, every house has a wood stove in the middle of the house.
Right.
And it's just sitting there, and a child putting both hands on the stove. That's how we get those contractures. Mountains of South America, mountains of the Himalayas in Asia, there's kerosene lanterns, or I wouldn't even call them a lantern, sometimes a tin can with a rag stuck in the kerosene.
Kind of oil or gas.
Oil or kerosene,
burning.
yes.
Yeah.
And that falls on your clothing, and you have a flame fire. Southeast Asia, they're cooking noodles. The baby pulls the boiling pot of boiling water over. There's just so many ways to get burnt. And some places, the electrical system is primitive. And so you've got bundles of wires. You have people cutting into wires to steal electricity,
Right.
but you have live wires laying around, so we see electrical burns too. But as I had said, with cleft lips and palates, that we can teach that throughout the world. There are a lot of organizations working on cleft lips and palates. There aren't that many working on burns. And one of the groups I work with, Resurge, which is short for reconstructive surgery, though we got our start taking care of hand deformities and some of these other ones, now we're devoted, a large part of our resources go to burn treatment.
Right, and what we'll do is, we got about 13 minutes left. The show goes by so quick. We'll put up a website. We'll probably edit that in at the end of the show. So anybody, and you can go to this website. The same photos will be up here, plus more. There'll be contributions if people contribute. And your cosmetic surgery actually supports these missions to go overseas and help all these children and some adults, you know.
No, that's true. I mean, my work at home, I do reconstructive surgery at home. We just don't have the same numbers that we would get overseas. But then
at home in Napa.
At home in Napa. But a large part of my practice is cosmetic surgery, which I enjoy doing. It's fun surgery.
Right.
Patients are happy. I enjoy the patients. But that really is what pays the rent,
Right.
and allows me to do the overseas work. With cosmetic surgery being elective, we can schedule it so that my partner, Dr. Becky Jackson, who also does the same sort of work, we can schedule ourselves so we can go on these missions. And our patients have been very generous. Many of our patients donate.
Right, anonymously. And
yes, anonymously. But
thank you. You know who you are.
Yes.
They know who they are. Yeah, yeah.
So
they're watching. So.
But I have a few other things I can show you. There are, we see adults too, and the nice thing about adults is we can do this procedure under local anesthesia just like you would at the dental office.
You don't have to put them under.
No, we just, this fellow, when he's finished, he jumped on his motorbike and took off. So
no propofol or anything.
But these adults are very gratifying. Now this is a problem that we see. It's a congenital hairy nevus. Nevus is another term for mole, but they're these dark moles that have hair growing out. And you can see that this is children are born with this, and you can see how superstition has grown around this.
Like werewolves and
yes,
and
good point.
Scary, superstitious.
So this boy is about to have surgery, and the next slide, here he is immediately after surgery. So that's a piece of skin from his abdomen. We've taken off a big part of the black mole, and we put this on, and then he'll come back and we'll keep doing some more. But the next picture shows, so this girl had the exact same operation last year. So you see,
it's coming together.
Yeah. Yes, and so that skin was taken from her abdomen. So the boy in the previous picture, he will look like this next year. And she was back in clinic because we were going to do some more work around her eye and nose.
Fantastic.
So we can make a big difference. This is another patient, and she had the same thing as that first boy. The whole side of her face was black and hairy, and now here she is a year after successful treatment. So we see a lot of these. And then another group, which is kind of interesting, it's called ptosis, which is a drooping eyelid. And again, it's one of those things where it doesn't affect the vision. These children can lead a normal life, but going through life having a sleepy eye, not really sleepy eye, but a sleepy eyelid, lazy eye. Yeah. So here's a before and after. These procedures literally take about 20 minutes.
Yeah, and this is more than just a lazy eye. These are severe drooping, you know.
Drooping, yes. And the medical term is ptosis, so we can do dozens and dozens of these operations, the same child before and after.
Wow, remarkable.
No, we enjoy doing them, but also we can teach. This child has it on both sides.
Fantastic.
So these are some of the procedures. So that is...
we got about 9 minutes left. What's the most difficult procedures that you've done? Would it be the cleft lip? Would it be the burn? What do you think is the most difficult procedures?
The most difficult are those large facial tumors. They're in fact, they're difficult in such a way that we've had to bring them back to the States to operate. Though nowadays, some of the sites we work, there are excellent facilities, and if we can raise the funds, we can do it on site. Those are very difficult, but that's closely followed by the horrendous burns. And
Those are difficult as well.
yes, and especially the
Almost
ones
as
where
much.
the lip goes down to the chest, because
Right.
there are big issues with anesthesia and safety issues. So the burns are the most difficult. Nowadays, and this is a subject of another show, but microsurgery. Microsurgery has made a gigantic difference in reconstruction. And microsurgery is where we can take tissue from one part of the body, tissue meaning skin, muscle, fat, bone, from another part of the body to reconstruct an area. And we keep that flap alive by connecting blood vessels, we connect the nerves. And microsurgery has made a gigantic difference in this country with reconstruction, but we are teaching microsurgery abroad. And our largest project is in Cuba, teaching microsurgery.
You were one of the first guys to get into Cuba, a communist country, you know.
Same with Vietnam.
And your address is 1175 Trancas, which is on the corner of Jefferson and Trancas, right here in Napa Valley,
Yes,
Cali. And your phone number is 707
258 6053.
6053. 258 6053. So, and located right here in Napa. Right down there where Lions used to be, Lions, kind of
Same building, used to be Lions Restaurant.
Right.
But the, this is not something we're going to be doing overseas soon, but face transplants.
Really, yeah.
And that has made the news. The cover of National Geographic is a very dramatic case. On my website, I'm going to have some links to the first face transplant in Canada, in Montreal. And that's significant because the surgeons who did the face transplant, I recruited them to go to Cuba with me.
Nice.
And so we are going to go to Cuba in January, not to teach face transplants, but these are very skilled microsurgeons to teach the Cubans microsurgery. And the money was a single anonymous donor, and if I mention his name, he'd kill me.
Yes.
He has donated and raised $90,000, which will take care of 5 years of this teaching program in Cuba. So I'm just amazed at the generosity here in town.
We have about 4 minutes left. What else shall we recap on? We should. You already said it's about what, 17 countries or something like that,
17
and
countries.
repeatedly each one.
Well, we can talk about your cosmetic surgery.
Yeah. Mickey Rourke is my I had the same plastic surgeon did Mickey Rourke. He did mine. I'm not going to name the. I'm not like that. Like raise up any bad news. I'm not going to name the hospital, right? No, I'm just kidding. But no, but if you want, you get what you pay for, and if you get, if you go shoddy, cheap work, right, you're going to get,
cosmetic surgery is, as I said, it's very gratifying. It's artistic. It's all reconstructive surgery is artistic.
because you're actually recreating, God's already creation, and back to the original blueprint. So it is a very creative, artistic work.
Well, we do that. It's just, we're born with things we don't like, and we can help that. Life's kind of unfair, but we can help.
And I had the same problem with the dentist, but I'm not going to name them either. But I've seen your work done, or should I say, I've not seen your work done because it's so perfect you can't tell there was any work done, and it's amazing. I've seen people. They just look young and virile and everything, and I'm 61. They're older than I am, right? And I've seen your work. Actually, not seen your work because it's that good. I must say, it's so perfect you can't tell there was any work.
Well, a big misconception is, growing old is a natural function, and we can grow old gracefully. Sometimes we don't grow old gracefully, but I think the bigger thing is looking worn out, and especially in the job market and older people entering the job market, it's that looking worn out, looking tired. And a big part of what we do is giving people a refreshed look. It's still their same face, and I think that's what people are very gratified about.
And it gives them more energy just to look more energetic,
Well, that is true.
In the long run. Because, I mean, I've been clean and sober for 7 years. I haven't even taken an aspirin,
Congratulations.
But I used to drink a lot and take painkillers and all these drugs, that the doctor, and it ages your face really quickly.
Yeah.
And we got about 2 minutes left. So
well,
what else should we recap on?
Speaking of cosmetic surgery and what we do overseas, we had a visitor from Kathmandu, Nepal, with me for a week.
Right.
Because over the years, we've always brought doctors from abroad to Napa. I'm affiliated with Stanford, and so we go down to Stanford. That's where I train, and so I keep going back there.
It would be an honor just to be a student at Stanford, but to be a trainer at Stanford, that's amazing. You know,
it's a very good program. But so we had this visitor from Nepal, and he came. He wanted to learn cosmetic surgery, and we thought, well, that's interesting. In this Kathmandu, a city in a developing country, but there they had a large plastic surgery group doing a lot of reconstruction, a lot of donated work, but to help fund their program, they thought, well, if we can do some cosmetic surgery, because there are upper middle class and people in Kathmandu who want cosmetic surgery, because everyone's on the internet now, everyone's on YouTube.
Right.
And so they wanted to learn some cosmetic surgery to do, just as my partners and I do some work to pay the rent, to subsidize and so they are subsidizing their clinics. So he got to watch a few cosmetic procedures and
I have to say, you are a great humanitarian, and we'll probably close out the show. I'll probably read some credits, and obviously you get a live studio audience, actually our TV studio audience, whatever audience. We always have a new car, so you get a new car for everybody. And we also have headshots, which we can sell on YouTube, and actually you sell on eBay and make a lot of money off the. No, just kidding. And then also, I wanted to say that. Guests of the television show stay in Vietnam. Transportation provided by Ava Airlines. Thanks to our guest, Dr. Bill McClure right here, Dr. William J. McClure, and our co-host, comedian Jarrell Parker. He is not in the hospital, but he is been in an accident, so he's not showing up today. And we want to say thank you to Justin Bernard, our technical director. He is much appreciated back there. Our studio audience, our TV audience, thanks to Sal, the flower guy, for bringing in these flowers every week, and Hair in Motion. Also, Doc's Trophy Shop brings in these music awards for our musical guests and such. Emmy Lou's Diner down in also River Park area. Polish Nails and Spa down next to Jamba Juice, right? And also William J. McClure right here on the corner of Jefferson and Trancas. Napa Valley plasticsurgeons.com, correct? And Polish Nails right by Nob Hill. God bless you and yours. And until next time, America, I'm pretty much, we're out of here. Half hour goes by so quick every time. Boom, right?
DJ Diddy X.
1991, I flew to Delhi Island. The water's turquoise blue and I'm back wild. Living in a jungle and it looks like Thailand. Everybody's gone home, 911 dialing. Met the girl on the plane. Went to Water Island, sweet like sugar cane. The girl was beguiling. Putting lots of gold, you know that I'm styling. Never gets cold, emerald green on a white sand island. You are beautiful to me. Deadly island, turquoise water, sapphire seas. Went into business with Lucky and the birds, taking pictures with the tourists, making money absurd. Freddy got shot, Freddy's dead, you heard. Right through the heart, and then he said his last words. Me copy Musin was stopped 4 days later.